Okay. Abandoning the shelter of the bridge, you work your way slowly along the ice-filled ditch to a point directly in front of the South Trench. Here you settle to observe the Dracaran guards who are dutifully keeping watch over this sector. All you can see of them is their brutal faces peering over the rim of their dugout, but after a while, one by one these faces disappear. Your keen hearing detects the sound of laughter, some clicks, and a few yak curses. And judging by what you've heard, you hazard a guess that the guard are busy gambling with dice. You decide that now would be the best time to make your move, while the guards are distracted from their duty. Prague insists that he lead the way. He has crossed here once before and he knows the safe way through. The ground in front of the trench line looks clear, but there are concealed pits out there just waiting to snare the careless or unwary. You nod your agreement and follow in his wake as he crawls a zigzagging route towards the distant trench. 2 minutes later, you reach the mound of frost-hardened earth abutting the dugout. Silently he motions to Prague to get ready to attack, but before he can draw his sword, one of the enemy guards pops his head up to take a cursory glance over the parapet. He is less than an arm's length from you, and his eyes and mouth spring open with sheer terror when he finds himself staring into the face of a Kai Grandmaster. Instinctively, you lash out with the edge of your hand, aiming for his right temple, hoping to render him unconscious before he can warn his confederates. But the shock of seeing you make him reel backward, and your blow misses him by a hair's breadth. Roll the die.
7.
The guard crashes to the bottom of the trench, but before he can raise the alarm, you and Prague are on the dugout beside him with your weapons drawn, ready to strike. Your attack is swift and deadly. In less than 5 seconds, you and your companions dispatch all 4 of the Dracaran trench troopers who occupy this position, overcoming them before they can even unsheath their swords. Keen to maintain your advantage of surprise, you quickly leave the trench and rush across the remaining strip of open ground, which separates you from the town's outlying dwellings. Prague points ahead to an alleyway that lies sandwiched between 2 burned-out hovels, and immediately you follow as he rushes towards its shadowy entrance.
Oh my. Nothing. Let's move on.
The dark alleyways lead to a square where, an age ago, the great mansion of Lentian noblemen encircled a shrine dedicated to the goddess Ishir, High Priestess of the Moon. But now this square, in common with the rest of
Wait, the goddess is a priestess.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, maybe she needs a hobby outside of being worshipped.
So
Also, she worships.
Yeah.
She worships herself. Okay, that's not.
No, she's High Priestess of the Moon. The goddess Ishir worships the moon.
Aha.
That's actually a good question. What do gods pray to?
In this case, the moon.
But what is she goddess of?
Ah.
And why does she need a spaceship? What?
To go to the moon, of course.
What does God need with a spaceship, with a starship?
Well, she needs to go to the moon, obviously, to visit her own god,
Yeah.
who doesn't need a spaceship.
But now this square, in common with the rest of the town, bears little resemblance to or trace of its Lentian origins. When the Dracaran first captured Ferndor, as it was then called, all the houses and public buildings which had stood for centuries were demolished. In their place were erected ungainly dormitories and ugly communal dwellings made entirely of timber culled from the surrounding forest. So not only are the evil people ugly, they also build ugly things.
We knew
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I need to be honest. I sort of begin to think of the Dracaran sort of like, the guys from that old, what was it, Astrid Lindgren book. The ones who served the evil overlord Tengil.
Oh.
Oh yeah, those guys.
Yeah, those guys. Although we have not seen them brand a mark on someone yet.
Yep. The town's once picturesque plazas and narrow, winding streets were replaced with coldly functional military avenues for the marching Dracaran hordes. From the shadows of a doorway, you and Prague observe a small covered wagon and a troop of weary Dracaran soldiers entering the square from the north. This small procession swings right and approaches an avenue which exits the square, leading off to the west and towards the center of the town. Magnon's headquarters are located in the middle of Shokona, and with night fast approaching, Prague suggests you follow the troop using the gathering darkness for cover. You are about to agree with him when suddenly the door of a nearby hovel swings open, and out into the alley step 3 burly, drunken Dracaran. Instinctive. What?
3 burly drunken Dracaran.
Yeah?
What just happened? I didn't hear you. and then nothing.
Oh.
And then suddenly 3 burly drunken Dracarum. What?
You are about to agree with him when suddenly the door of a nearby hovel swings open, and out into the alley step 3 burly drunken Dracarum.
Burly?
Burly drunken Dracarum, yes.
What is burly?
More muscular.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was pondering if it described how drunk they were.
No. Instinctively, you both leap for cover to avoid being seen. Prague drops down behind a sack of empty ale casks, while you dive behind a mound of rotten timbers. The moment you hit the ground, you feel it sag beneath your weight. Then, in a moment of terror, the ground collapses and you fall headlong into darkness. You are crashed through the rotten-infested timbers of a trapdoor into a damp and dingy cellar. Rover die and add 1 for having hunt mastery.
Wait. Stop. You just said that they tore down the city and built it to be efficient military. And
Yes.
then they don't even exchange their trapdoors with new ones when they get rotten? What the hell?
I think it might have gotten overlooked. I
This
don't
is just
know.
out of character for these guys.
Yeah, what with the whole war on and all.
Yeah,
Anyway, 7 again, or rather 6, but I had to add 1.
Yeah. You crash down upon a stack of ale barrels, which in turn topple and fall, pinning you beneath them. Yet despite your heavy landing, your cat-like reflexes save you from sustaining any serious injuries. Lose 1 endurance points. At once, you try to extricate yourself from beneath the heavy cask, but a sudden sound causes you to stop and stare at the broken trapdoor. In the alleyway above, you hear the sounds of a struggle taking place. The Dracarum have found your companion Prague, and they are attempting to overpower him by force.
Really? I thought they were trying to overpower him by smartness. Grace.
The sound of the struggle ceases abruptly, and you hear gruff Dracarum voices yelling and cursing in anger. A yellow light flares up and grows brighter as it approaches the broken trapdoor. Then the face of a Dracar appears, framed in the ragged hole, illuminated grotesquely by the guttering flames of a torch.
There's nothing grotesque about the light from a torch.
It is when it's a Dracarum torch! They're evil, remember?
This is dumb.
Evil.
The Dracar thrusts his torch through the shattered door and peers into the cellar, his small, piggy eyes probing into every corner.
Okay, now it's just unnecessarily.
It's very mean-spirited towards the opposite side. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, it's not just enough that these guys do things that are bad, like invade other countries, kill people, and tear things down to turn it all into a utilitarian military nation or something like that. Everything they do have to be seeped in negativity.
Yeah, but
and they knew the door was there, so why didn't they make sure that it was exchanged when it got rotten? It's out of character for them.
I don't know.
yeah, and seriously, in the terms of evil minions of dark overlords or blah 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 blah, I think that the Dracarum are getting sort of, shall we say, a little too evil. I mean, seriously, now they're making the Urukai of Lord of the Rings look like they're actually considerate beings.
Yeah, and another thing. Yeah, I'm coming to the conclusion that Lone Wolf is horribly racist with the way he reacts to everything that isn't kissing up to him.
Yeah, and that fits very well with the fact that he's religiously intolerant, as we already established.
Yeah, maybe his, let me say, golden helmet of justice is sitting a little too tightly.
Yeah.
He's starting to remind me of a character from Mean Girls. That's not a good thing when he reminds you of the stereotype of a cheerleader. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with cheerleaders, I'm just saying that's the stereotype.
Yeah. You keep completely still, and he fails to see you lying beneath the clutter of barrels and casks. The moment the face and the torch disappears, you pry yourself free and then scramble up onto an upright barrel in order to reach the trapdoor. Prague and the Dracarum are no longer in the alleyway, yet as you pull yourself through the gaping hole, you catch sight of them in the square beyond. The Dracarum have captured Prague. They have tied his hands and they are marching him along the West Avenue towards the center of the town, towards Magnon's headquarters. You clamp out of the cellar and set off after the Dracarum with weapon in hand, determined to free your companion from their clutches. But as you hurry into the Western Avenue, you see that they have already joined with the troops who are escorting the covered wagon. The wagon has halted, and you count more than 50 Dracarum jostling the helpless Prague, bullying and cursing him wildly. More than one voice calls out in the Geark tongue, "Let's kill the Lentian spy!" Fearful that they are going to beat him to death, you decide to charge headlong into the crowd in a desperate attempt to save him, despite the...
Leroy Jenkins!
Yeah, I was about to say that too. Leroy Jenkins!
Yep. Despite the overwhelming odds against your success. But before you can act, a Dracarum officer on horseback appears and commands the troops to order. An uneasy silence descends on the group. Then dutifully they step away from Prague and form up in a column facing the officer on his mount. Prague, who had been left lying on the ground, barely conscious, is bundled into the wagon. The officer raises his hand, and the wagon trundles off along the avenue towards a distant square, with a troop of soldiers marching smartly in its wake. You follow and observe, taking in every aspect, every detail that might help you to free your companion. When you reach the square at the end of the avenue, you discover that it is dominated by a tall tower. It is Magnon's tower, his flag emblazoned with the emblem of a black eagle, clutching two fiery swords, flutters lazily from its slender wooden spire. The wagon draws up in front of a building adjacent to the tower, and Prague is dragged unceremoniously inside, judging by
They should fire that flag, if it's that lazy.
Judging by the bars which adorn its windows and the armed guards at its entrance, you hazard a guess that this is the Shukona jail. Patiently, you watch the square for several minutes while you try to formulate a plan. Then the assembled troops are galvanized into action when an order from the officer sends them off in pairs to search the town for other spies. Several Dracarum come towards your location, and you are forced to seek somewhere to hide. Looking around, you can see only two dwellings that may offer some hope of a safe haven. The first is a warehouse, the second are stables. Do you wish to hide in the warehouse or the stables?
I think stables.
What do you
Yeah.
say, Warlord? Okay, let's
Yeah,
go
I
hide
agree. I
in-
mean, if the horses panic, we can just make them calm down.
Yeah, let's go hide in the stables.
You enter the stables by a side door and soon find a hiding place in one of 100 straw-filled stalls. You also find the following items which may be of use to you: a lantern, a rope, a dagger, 2 meals, and an hourglass.
Let me see. We can use the meals and the lantern, but the hourglass?
Let's bring it. It sounds just about. If nothing else, then we can see what. Then we can use it next time we go on a mission with a time limit.
Let me see. The lantern. Okay, I will add that.
Personally, I say we leave the hourglass and bring the rope.
Don't we have a rope?
Yeah, we already have a rope.
Oh. Okay, never mind then.
So we take the hourglass too. I just need to write that down. Excuse me.
Well, let's get it written down this time then.
Yeah. Periodically, Dracarum enter and search the building, but they fail to detect you. While you are hiding from their search parties, you consider your companion's plight and grow ever more fearful for his safety. You're also very anxious that under torture, he will reveal your presence, your identity, and the reason why you come to this town. You're determined not to allow this to happen, and so, as midnight approaches, you slip away from your hiding place and make your way stealthily towards the Shukona jail.